If you found yourself lost on the newest Valorant map Abyss, this guide will teach you how to smoke properly on Riot's most complicated map to date. Divided by chapters in this video, you will find information for how to understand the map to smoke correctly, how to smoke mid, A and B side for both attack and defense, and you will also find a specific chapter for Viper. Today's episode is sponsored by Elgato. Go to elgato.com for the newest hardware for streamers, use the link from the description below and the code for 5% off. Thank you Elgato for sponsoring the stream. Before I will show you all the smokes that you're gonna use on this map, you have to understand how the map works because it's so different than any other map. It's the most complicated map when it comes to smokes and you're always gonna feel like something is off. So we're gonna focus on efforts on understanding how the map is divided. I'm putting those jets as positions that you have to be aware when you're attacking. So when you're attacking from your spawn, you're gonna have to be aware that when the barrier drops, you're gonna encounter enemies in those positions. So whenever the jet you will see on the minimap right here, those are the positions that you have to check for, right? So you're gonna have 3 lanes, essentially the entrance to A main, the entrance to B main, and then the mid area guarded always by someone. And you have to deny informations for your opponents to maximize your chances of winning the round. Now, the problem with this map is that similarly to Ascent, your entrances to sites are just essentially choke points, and it's very hard to go through those choke points because the sites themselves are built in a way that 1 or 2 smokes is just not good enough to cover everything. The same goes for A and the same goes for B. Even though you can jump on the ledge on the left side here, it doesn't help much. Attacking sites directly is incredibly rough, as you're gonna see in the next chapter. So in my eyes, it's incredibly important to work mid area. So every round you should be probably working like a 1-3-1 default composition that allows you to use recurring smokes to deny info and build pressure. This is why it's going to be important to destroy doors in vents, or the birth canal as I call it, right? It's gonna be important to deny vision for those players so they don't know if someone is walking up mid, and it's gonna be important also to do splits that are actually gonna be attacking the B side from those 2 angles or the A side from those 2 angles. This is why working towards the mid control is so important. So now let's learn actually how to smoke on this map to achieve this goal in our minds. I will focus my efforts when it comes to explaining the A side and in general smokes by using Omen, because Omen is applicable to Clove and to Astra and to Brimstone to some degree. He's, of course, we're gonna show some one ways, but in general, all of the smokes that you can see here that I'm going to be using with Omen, you can use with the other agents. Harbor is a different topic. We're going to talk about him a little bit later. So now, when it comes to attacking A, you have 3 phases that you need to go through. First phase is taking A main control. Second phase is going through the choke point, and then the third phase is actually going to the site, because as you can see, the site when you can plant is very far away from the actual choke point. So let's focus on how do we achieve this by going step by step. So the first smoke, you can expect an opponent to be standing in this spot, right? Remember from the minimap before what I showed on VALORANT. Now, to achieve pressure on this first choke point that your opponent's gonna be holding, you can consider using a one-way on the box. Now, many people will be like, wait, this is a one-way for the opponents. No, it's actually not, because if the person is standing closer to the smoke than you, then he cannot see anything, while you might be able to see him, right, if he's standing somewhere here. But even if you're not gonna see the player who is behind the smoke, that builds up enough pressure for this player to actually fall back to side or try to go into this area, and this smoke helps you to clear this area on your right. So let's assume we're gonna do the one way. And now I know that I'm not gonna be held by a player from this position because that's just stupid. So I can put my attention into clearing all of those angles over here, which is very important into taking the A main control. Remember also, but this is really not a big problem, that people can jump through over here. right? But that's gonna sometimes happen, and you just have to have that in your mind. Now, once we clear this area, we're gonna be going into the A main. Now, the problem is that once you go into A main, there are so many angles that your opponent can be standing on that not a singular smoke is gonna be efficient. Your opponents can stand on top of site. They can stand on the bridge. They can stand on the right. They can stand in those corners over here. They can stand on the rope, and they can stand on the left side. So how do we fix this? My idea of smoking on attack on this map is that to smoke the cross with the most angles. That means we're gonna be putting a smoke on this left side, which is not a natural thing to do for most players. When you smoke like this, it feels like it's not a great smoke, but it's a necessary smoke, because this smoke allows you to check the right hand side of this map to go into this without being caught in a crossfire. Denies the vision from the player standing on the rope, denies the vision for the player standing on the left side of the map as well. So if you have one smoke, this is probably the best smoke that you can do while entering this site. Remember to not leave a gap that is too big on here, because your opponents will be able to see you from the rope otherwise, right? So don't do it like this. This will kill you. If you do it like this, this will absolutely kill you. So don't do it. Now, if you have two smokes, you can consider adding another one on this side of the bridge. This will put a lot of pressure on the players on backside, and they will probably not want to re-peek it because there's not much space to like strafe into, so you can even maybe accidentally die because of that. Consider like repositioning the smoke where they don't see the lines for the site, like this. Now they don't exactly know where is the bridge, or like it feels icky to just run out of that. So this is gonna be the second smoke that we will be doing on A side. I'm guessing that most people will be doing a smoke just like this and this, and they'll be like, yeah, it's fine. But if you do smokes like this, you don't cover anything. Essentially, those smokes don't really affect anyone, because there's only one position being affected by this smoke and a second position, and that's it. While all of those other positions, this here is completely open. This is why putting the smoke on this small cross here is so important, right? You want to make sure that you can go through the second phase of getting this area by smoking this. If you have two smokes, you can consider doing smokes like this. One to connect the site, other one to put on the rope. Since you're putting it on the rope, now you can work towards the backside of the site while not being exposed to the rope players. So you're going like in a 150-50, but this is why I said that on this map, flashes are the most important piece of utility. It's not the smokes, it's the flashes that are important on this map, because there are so many angles that your smokes will never feel fully efficient. So you have to always be aware that someone can be on the 50-50 angle, and you should never feel safe however you smoke. Remember though that when you go into A side, never smoke here. I'm saying this because I'm sure that someone will have this idea. This doesn't achieve anything. It only denies vision from the city, and no one will play there. So always try to get the smokes in the first position over here. You can also consider smoking top side after that to connect those two smokes and try to fight for rope, and then go maybe top side and have another angle to fight for. This map is incredibly creative when it comes to your movement and the smokes that you will do. So expect the smoke players to do improvised stuff all the time, and you will have to pay attention to those smokes to make sure that you can use them. If you thought attacking A side is complicated, just wait for the B side. Now, B side has also another objective, because if you want to go towards mid-bottom from the right-hand side, right, when you peek on an advantageous position, you actually have to go through this rope. This rope is opened to the B main area that the opponents can already go through, because the barrier is dropping here at the bridge and someone can just go for the first contact on this area, so deny you to even go to the rope. So this is a crucial point of the map as well. Because of that, you should consider just smoking the first position like this to make sure that you can cross to rope without being exposed, and also deny the first player the contact that he can have while pushing the bridge. But you have to be ready to attack the person that is behind the smoke and maybe behind the box. This is why it's important to also have a player going into the window. But the problem is, you should never peek first from the window. You should always go second, as the player from here should have the contact and then you get the trade. Because if you peek from the window, you get fully exposed by potentially players from side. And if that happens, you're on a huge disadvantage, because the angle over here never gives you a good position, good reaction time. Your opponent will always see you first rather than you will see him first. So once we get to this area, how do we get to site? There are so many angles that your opponent can stand on. Here, 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 here. There's so many angles. And they can also stand just in CT over here. On this map, look at this. You're not visible from window, and you can just hold this with an operator. And then you can just peek into window, shot one bullet with the op and just go away. Like, it's... Operators are premium on this map. So are flashes, because smokes will never deny all of the positions that an operator can stand on. So you're gonna have to be very clever with that. And I found, after hours of thinking about this and testing, the best possible smokes that you can do while going to a B side are just weird stuff like this, which creates pressure on the players, right? Oh, by the way, there's a bug on the minimap right now that is gonna... Hopefully it's gonna get fixed in the next 2 weeks, but there's an Omen bug, an Astra bug. As you can see here, the minimap is not aligned, so you have to be aware to, if you connect the smoke to the wall like this, there's gonna be a gap. See? So you want to avoid that by putting the smoke a little bit into the wall, which is annoying, but hopefully gets fixed fast. So when you smoke like this, you want to connect it more to the wall, and this allows you to build up a little bit of space to go towards side. So if I would be an Omen or a Clove player that goes towards B side, if I would have 2 smokes, I would most likely do something like this. Put 1 smoke on close, put 1 smoke on top of side, deny as many possible angles, and then scale up to side and try to just angle check absolutely everything. This is another phase of this site that just requires you so much attention, and also using so many like mollies for backside. But then again, opponents can just stand anywhere over here. That's why flashes are gonna be so important to like use from the smokes. Pop flashes from the smoke, recon abilities from initiators are gonna be so important. Your smokes are gonna be a nuisance, but they are not something that you should rely on. They're gonna be helping to scale up. So like using a smoke over here is important to deny the informations from the defense players, but as you can see, they can still see here. So a second smoke on top of side is important as well. So now you can deny all of those informations if you're actually scaling to side or not. With all of that in mind, hopefully now you understand why did I focus so much on explaining why mid is so important. Because attacking A side and B side is just highly risky and most likely inefficient. Now, when it comes to mid, this is gonna be the crucial part of the puzzle. You want to go onto mid and deny the vision for the players who are standing here, 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 and here. If you play an Omen, you should consider 2 approaches to mid control. 1, denying informations with 2 smokes early, and also making sure that the opponents will think that you might be crossing. Remember, the UI is bugged, so there might be some weird touching problems of the smoke. So you want to use a smoke that might be a little bit even closer to you here, to deny the info for the players standing on the stairs, for the players standing on the link, so they don't know if you go towards the top top mid side towards the doors. And also then the other smoke is just being used on the small bridge. Now, if you want to smoke the bridge, you have two approaches. One is to close the edge. If you never plan onto jumping to the smoke, this is how the way you should do it to make sure, but it's bugged, as you can see. Like, in theory, should be touching, yeah, this. Anyway, if you don't plan on jumping to this, then you should touch your smoke to the edge of the wall so your opponent cannot peek through that without dying, right? You want to avoid a person just confidently peeking through that smoke and trying to get you. But if you plan on to maybe scaling up on this position, then you can try putting the smoke a little bit more aggressively to deny the info, but also leave yourself some space to maybe jump to. But there you have to be aware that someone can peek out of the smoke. So that's one approach. The second approach is building up pressure towards A side by destroying those doors. What I found to be efficient is that when you start the round, you go up the stairs and you smoke like this. So it connects to the doors. It denies info for the players that are both library, so over here, and on the stairs, like this. So they don't see you. And now you can spam and destroy the doors. The doors are only require 4 bullets, right? So when you destroy them, you're able to go into vents and just sit here and destroy the other pair of the doors that are here. Or just destroy the doors and leave the mid area, which builds pressure for the defenders to actually have someone checking now vents. This is important because, as I explained before, going through just choke point on A is incredibly rough. So it's important for you to go towards this area. Now, tip, if you go for this, if you want to smoke this area, destroy the doors and build up that pressure, your duo could be doing something else. If your duo is able to cross to this section of this map, stand at this wall, look into this direction, ping the location of the doors, and shoot through here, you're able to destroy the doors without peeking into sight. So when you combine this smoke over here and those over here, when you destroy that, you're gonna be able to make sure that you build up pressure for the defenders, and now they have to worry about those split attacks from mid and A main. This map most likely will be played with 2 controllers. We might see compositions with like 2 initiators, 2 controllers, and 1 duelist. I don't think sentinels are gonna be essential on this map in pro setting, but on ranked anything goes. But if you want to play Viper, you should consider her playing as a support controller, not as a main controller. Remember please that it's the same case like on Bind. You pair it with Brimstone, you pair it with Omen, just like on Lotus. She's a supplemental character to mid control most likely, or an dedicated A or B side controller, right, on attack. So on this map, my goal was to make a setup that allows you to control mid or deny info on mid, and then have a setup to help on A and B side while attacking. So let's start with that. So with the mid control in mind, I made a Viper wall lineup that you will use from the barrier, which allows you then to do it at the beginning of the round and reposition if you don't want to play into B main. So you're gonna go to the corner of the barrier, you're gonna look into the barrier directly. When you equip your wall, the shadow of this white light changes. Now you can see it divides between gray and white. You put your crosser on the left side of this middle of the color change over here and just put it towards mid, which allow you to cover the most crucial positions from seeing you working mid.
Isolate them and kill them.
So now when you activate this wall,
Toxins going up.
people will not see if you're crossing towards the crucial positions on the map. And you might not even do it. You might not even cross into this position. But the important thing is that your opponents will be denied that information as well, which builds uncertainty and essentially allows you to put the pressure into more opponents being put onto mid area. Remember that your objective also is this to destroy this door. So make sure that someone from the team has an understanding that destroying this door while this wall is up is important, right? And you will not be seen from this angle over here when the wall is closed. Just remember, the wall is wavy, so if you're close to the edge, you might be suddenly visible because the wall just decides to be a little bit wavy in a different direction. Another wall that will help you achieve the goal of destroying the doors and deny some of the informations is the one from this corner on spawn. Now, this one doesn't deny informations from the mid bottom here, but it still achieves some of the goals you want to do on this map. You're gonna aim the wall like this. You want to connect your wall with this wall on your right, and then you want to connect it to here, to this edge. Now, there's a bug that I reported to Riot 2 years ago and it's still not fixed. The marker indication of the Viper wall is actually shorter than the actual wall. So even though it doesn't touch the edge, it will connect to the edge. So when I'm gonna do it like this, now we have a wall that covers your opponent's vision from you approaching this side of the upper mid and allowing you to destroy the doors, but also builds up a little bit of pressure by covering the link. So in case you are gaining some control on mid, the opponents rotating through here will be a little bit uneasy. Right, so you can combine that. This wall can be combined with like an Omen smoke or an Astra, Brimstone smoke, whatever, in this position to make sure you can scale up a little bit more as well. So yeah, that's a smoke that that's a wall that allows you to rotate faster, because you can use this at the beginning of the round during barrier time, and now you can either go B main, A main, or into mid area. The best Viper wall that you can do on this map requires you to go in a very risky position. You are gonna have to go into the A main, into this corner. So remember that you will have to take control of A main first, or you're gonna have to use your orb to cross to this position. And that is not a good sacrifice, right? Because you cannot pick that orb again. So you might consider asking your teammates to help you get into this position, right? Don't just walk into this position and just be like, yeah, I can just do this, because you will die. All right, you will die. So you go into this corner, and now you're gonna aim with your wall towards this position, and here on this corner, your wall marker should be right below the corner. So you're gonna move it a little bit like this. So small piece of the corner is visible through the marker. Once you do that, left click, and now this wall connects perfectly in its entirety. Literally allows you to go into vents to destroy the doors and denies all the informations from all the crucial positions that you have on top mid. This is the best wall that you can do for mid control, but it requires you to go into a very risky position. This is gonna be a wall and orb setup to attack A main that is pretty efficient, but remember about your fuel. It's very simple lineup actually. So you're gonna do two things. First, you're gonna start with the wall that you can do before the barrier drops. You're gonna block yourself into this corner over here. Now you're gonna look into this direction. Pay attention to this rock, to this shape as well. We're gonna put our HUD, you see this? It has a shape like a V. You're gonna align this with that rock. Now we're gonna swap to the wall. Left click. And this allows you to build up the wall that covers the entire site. It connects to the wall through CT, but allows you to do a few things. First thing is, when you put it up, you're able to cross into this area and check this corner without being exposed. Now you can drop the wall, work towards this area of the map. Right, so you cross the first part of A mains. You cross the first phase of A main with just this wall that also will serve a purpose of going into A main, because now, if you remember how I was talking about connecting those positions here, this wall allows you to do that. Now, it denies info for the player who is on ropes, but it also allows you to go onto site and scale up to site. It's a good way of practicing, sorry, not good way. It's a good moment to practice your control jumps to make sure that you can shoot as fast as possible and scale up onto top site. But now we're gonna have to add a smoke to it. So if you have two controllers, ask your teammate to put a smoke over here, right? Because once you put the wall up, remember your fuel is divided between orb and normal smoke. So you can go into site, check the right side. But if you don't have a teammate who cooperates, or if you just want to put your own orb, stand in this corner over here. Look on the top of this billboard right here. Oh, what is this? AC? I don't know. But something like this. So you look at the corner of it like this. Put the crosser just slightly above it, and now jump throw. And this will land on the bridge. Now remember, if you activate the wall and the orb at the same time, unfortunately, the duration of the smokes is only gonna be 6 seconds. So it's way more efficient if you're gonna ask your teammate to smoke exactly this position with his own smoke, so you can put this wall up for 12 seconds. If you consider using your utility on B side, then you can start the round with essentially almost everything set up before you even drop the barrier. So first, use the wall that I showed you from this corner for the mid control. Then, where the barrier drops, you're gonna be standing in this corner. You're gonna pay attention to this small intersection of the tiles. And then you're gonna put this small line from your 100 fuel marker over here on this spot right here, like this. Now when the barrier drops, equip your Viper orb, jump throw, and this lands in the spot that I was talking about when making the guide for Omen smokes and Clove smokes. This will help you enter the site and deny informations when it comes to like first entry. So this is much help for the team to enter. But again, remember, smokes on those maps are inefficient. You always need other pieces of utility to support those entrances. So flashes and recon utility is imperative to make smokes like this successful. Let's swap to defense now, and let's start with Viper, because I found a very efficient setup for both B and A side. You're gonna spawn, you're gonna run as fast as possible because you want to be efficient on your timings to the right side, and now you go to library on mid. You stand in this corner, you aim the wall towards B side. So you're gonna have to put the wall as well on this spot on the ledge, like this. Now what this achieves is it helps this site in a similar manner like when, for example, you play Icebox. This is not a wall that you just pop at any given point of the game. You use this wall when your opponents are going onto site. So you want to make it harder for them to enter the site. Now think about it this way. This wall is also countered by the smoke that I showed you. This is why it's so important to have that in mind, right? So you use this wall when the player on B side says that your opponents are committing to this site. So you want to use that then, and only then. But also this wall serves a secondary purpose when you're retaking this site, because you're gonna be playing on A side. You will be retaking this site with your wall that is already preemptively put. So this is gonna help you once you're gonna be defusing the spike to cover yourself from the spam from the windows and main. So once you do that wall, on mid, you instantly run towards A. You go towards A, you take this pathing, go to the rope, jump down, stand in this corner over here, look into this direction, put your crosshair on the lamp, now move it to your right around here, and once the barrier goes up, you throw the smoke. So now you have a setup with a wall on B that helps you retaking but also helps stopping and execute, and a perfect smoke for A main once people would like to go into your site. When you pop the smoke doesn't leak onto your site, so it stays contained in this choke point, and that allows you to mow down opponents because they are going straight out in the open directly from the smoke. It's incredibly important to not put the smoke more into this direction. If you put the smoke like this, for example, this is a terrible smoke for you, and it's gonna help your opponents actually go onto site. So remember to put it the way that I showed you. So we're gonna pick it up, you stand over here, look at the lamp, move it to the whatever this is, left click. And now it's the perfect angle for you to stop potential pushes. Alright, so now defending as an Omen, Astra, or anyone else with smokes on the A side. What you want to do is 3 primary smokes, at least with Omen. So we're gonna end the phase. If you're playing on site, like anywhere on site, you can consider using this one way to essentially stop the players from pushing the first phase, because this allows you to take pop shots on the opponents who are crossing. This is very similar to how you play on breeze in A main with a one-way smoke exactly in the same position. Secondary smoke, of course, when they already breached the first phase, is gonna be very similar to what we have just used with the Viper orb on this position. Same premise. You don't want the smoke to leak already onto site, so it has to be a little bit deeper and probably not show yourself to the players that are standing on this platform over here. Third smoke is a very nasty smoke that you can use if you're playing on the rope. So there's a one-way on this box that I'm gonna try to find in a moment. And it's gonna be edited out. Here we go. So once you have this smoke over here, you're able to hold players pushing from main towards site, and they will not be able to see you. Now, if you think about it, how did I tell you to enter the side with the smoke is to connect those two, which essentially counters this one way as well. It's very important for you to understand that this is like, what? Cannot do this one way now from this position. Anyway, the point is, you counter the one way if you do this smoke over here. So it's incredibly important for you to do that. When it comes to defending on the B side, I don't think you should ever consider smoking the window, because it doesn't really help you in any way, as this angle is very beneficial for the defenders and not for the attackers, since they peek from their left hand while you're holding it from your right hand. So you always see them before they see you. So smoking window is not something I would consider, but what I would consider is putting a smoke on this corridor on the left. If you're not an Omen, you probably just want to smoke like this. So it puts pressure on the opponents to peek out of that smoke, right? And you can hold like from this nasty angle, by the way. This angle right here is incredibly nasty. Like, you're super beneficial because only your head is visible, and it's incredibly hard to shoot you because this is not easily penetrable as well. So you're standing in a very nasty angle that you can try to like go down from as well. So that's a smoke that you should consider. You can put it also more to your left, like this, so it sticks. It doesn't stick as much out as this one. We can put it even more to the left. But if you're an Omen, you can also one-way smoke over here. And this is another, there are like multiple one-way smokes, so you can adjust to whatever you like the most. But there's a lot of one-way smokes over here that will stop pushes from this position, because people will be just scared. Unless they will use a mobility, of course, or they will use their own smoke. That's why, again, when you're attacking, it's important to put a smoke on this position to counter potentially a one-way. Because if you put the smoke over here, it doesn't really achieve much, right? So the one-way over here is crucial for your early control of this area as well if you're playing Omen. Now, other other smokes that you have on site can be used for your benefit. So how do you use a smoke for your benefit on the B side? If you're being breached onto site, I think one of the smokes that will help you a lot is using a smoke on this box over here. If you put it in this position, you're able to play from backside and top side with your gun by not being exposed to the site itself. So you're able to like isolate the angles pretty nicely and get into isolated 1v1s that will be beneficial for you. Now remember, smoking, as I said, on this map is incredibly complicated. So your opponents might accidentally counter you by doing something completely that you cannot predict. So every time you play on a site, learn what are your opponents doing with those smokes. But also, if your opponents are smoking this, you're okay. This smoke is useless. So just be happy someone wastes a smoke over here. But yeah, defending B side is incredibly hard and you should focus on yourself a lot. Remember also that when you're holding on B, crucial pieces of information have to be given by players from mid. Because if you lose mid control, you can be attacked from here and here if they just push mid library to link. So anchoring B side is incredibly hard to do and is incredibly challenging for the player who's going to be standing there, specifically if you're lacking information from the mid players, which will happen a lot in rank. Now when it comes to defending mid, there's a nasty one way for playing Omen that you can put on the shelves over here. So when you put the smoke in this position, over here, like this, you're able to play from here, deny informations for the player peeking from stairs, and they should be dead. They literally should be dead. If they peek you from here, they should be dead when you're standing in that position. It's incredibly nasty, and people will, at the beginning of the game, will not realize that they're gonna be a one-way, so they're gonna be just swinging. Now, with Brimstone, Brimstone, Clove, and Astra, I don't really think you should even smoke mid, because it might be just a waste. You might just hold angles because they're beneficial to you. So you can just hold this. This is still like they're swinging from their left hand. So this angle is beneficial for you. Remember that people can be jump spotting from this box over here. This is incredibly important, specifically when you play an operator. This is also a spot where a jet can ultimate and try to kill you. So you don't want to do that. But this spot over here, if people would like to peek you from the mid bottom, they need to cross from B main. So it really depends how you play defense on B, because if you take the B main area as a defender, that you might know that you're actually not gonna expect anyone in this location at all. So if that's the case, then you might actually consider just walking up, and because of that, you might actually consider smoking over here just like this, just to deny information that you're walking up mid and just taking this space. But again, this requires a lot of coordination, and in my eyes, remember that this area will probably be heavily contested by the enemies if they understand you should be playing for mid control. Now, if you're gonna be pushed from the library area, you can also consider doing one ways on the shelves over here. This will help you a little bit with holding this area with from stairs, right? And you can do this one way with every single agent. Can be Clove, can be Astra, but if you're doing it with Astra, consider it moving a little bit more towards the right, because it's the biggest smoke, so we don't want it to connect to the floor, and the Brimstone is the smallest one, so you should be doing it on the edge. And that's about it when it comes to mid. Playing on Abyss as a controller is incredibly complicated and challenging, so don't be hard on yourself. There's a lot of stuff that you need to learn about this map, and so do your teammates. One thing that I withheld from you is the information who is the best smoker on this map. And it's not Clove, it's not Omen, it's not Brimstone, it's not Astra, it's actually Harbor. But we're gonna do a Harbor guide specifically for him in the next video. Now, he plays completely different than any other agent. This is why I did this guide first. Hope you guys enjoyed this guide, learned from it, and if you did that, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're working towards the 1K subscribers goal so we can get monetized. Thank you guys, and share the knowledge with your friends on how to play on the new map.